You don't need to try to make new friends because being by yourself, being alone is safe.
Your life is pointless.
Nobody likes you, so why bother?
Anything you do today will be worthless. Don't get out of bed.
Everyone hates you.
Just stay in bed. It's safe in bed. I'm Avery. I'm 20 years old, and I'm a sophomore at Mercer University. I'm double majoring in Global Development Studies and Political Science. So I first got diagnosed with ADHD when I was about 8, I believe. And since then, I've been diagnosed with a major depressive disorder and a generalized anxiety disorder. My ADHD is probably the mental illness that I've always felt most affected by, actually, which surprises a lot of people. About 2/3 of kids that have juvenile ADHD generally have like another form of mental illness. And the first one that I was diagnosed with was depression. I went to college and it got to a point where I had to ask for help because I was like, I can't handle this on my own anymore. So my depression had gotten a lot worse. So I talked to my parents and I found out that it was something that my mom had struggled with. That helped me a lot, having like someone who actually knew what I was going through and like how it felt. It really helped me, like, you know, not feel like something was wrong with me, I guess.
I'm Haley Grissett. I'm a freshman at Emory University. I'm 18 years old. I'm undecided in my major, but I'm thinking about film with a concentration in media management. Both of my parents struggle with depression, and I started also taking medication for depression in August. Before I got help, I was just very depressed. I could barely get off the couch. I didn't want to eat. Everything felt pointless. Like there wasn't really a point for me to get off of the couch. I just had to lay there to survive, really. And that's all I was trying to do at that point, was to survive. I did have suicidal thoughts. At this point, I didn't know if I was gonna make it, I guess.
My name is Cara Clements. I am a freshman at Emory University. I'm 18 years old and I'm pursuing dual degrees in media studies with a concentration in media production and pre-business with a concentration in marketing. Both my generalized anxiety disorder and my depression are definitely a result of some negative social experiences I had growing up, as well as just sort of kind of figuring out who I am as a person and how I deal with life, I guess. Some mornings I may wake up already just a complete lack of motivation. I don't want to get out of bed, and it's not just the normal, oh, I'm tired, oh, it's cold, I'm warm in my bed, snooze for 5 more minutes. It's, what's the point? What's the point of getting out of bed? Having that motivation to even get out of bed at the start of the day is sometimes really hard. It's almost just like self-destruction, I think is the best word I can think of, because you constantly tell yourself things that aren't necessarily rational and they're not necessarily true, but because of your anxiety and your depression, you fully believe them, and in your head and in your mind and in the life that you live, they are true. It's your reality. And so they're things that you have to combat, and they're things you have to struggle with on a daily basis.
So I've always been really open with mental illness. I think it's really important to talk about. I don't think we talk about it enough. A lot of people who don't have mental illness don't really understand. It makes you feel a lot more alone because it makes you feel like, other people really don't understand what you're going through. So having my mom, having someone to, be an accountability partner on my medication, but also just, I can call my mom and I can go, I didn't have a good day. And having someone that's like, oh, I understand, instead of being like, well, just be happier, like just go to class.
I wish I would have reached out and made my mental health a priority sooner. But I think one of the reasons I didn't is because it's so stigmatized. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because I didn't want somebody to look at me and say, oh, well, you just need to get over it. When somebody has a mental illness, that's not the answer. The answer isn't, oh, just get over it. Those people they need to reach out and they need to get help, and that's something I wish I would have done sooner.
I was just recently diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. It's this big cycle of your brain finding these things to worry about, and it seems really irrational to other people. But like, when it's your brain that's telling you that this little thing is going to be like the end of the world, then you tend to believe, what your brain is telling yourself.
I didn't want to tell that many people, not because I was ashamed of it, but because I thought it would change how people looked at me. I think that I would combat like the negative things, I guess that my depression tells me, by trying to think of life is good in general if I think about it hard enough. And even with its ups and downs, like, it's an experience worth living.
I kept it to myself for a while. I didn't even tell, close friends or family, because I didn't know what their reactions would be, and that shouldn't be how it is. Why should we feel ashamed to be dealing with something, to be struggling something that we don't have control over? So many people have this negative mindset and this stigma around mental illness, and it makes it so much harder for those that are actually struggling with it to go and get better.
My mom tried to get me into the counseling they offer on campus, but when I tried to sign up for second semester, they told me that they weren't accepting any new patients. I had to rely on my mom a lot more because my school wasn't able to offer me the resources that I needed. So the school does do some stuff, but it's not reaching kids in the way that they need to be reached.
I know Emory has CAPS. I've been meaning to check those out. It's just a far walk, so I haven't. I think maybe, I don't know, this might be totally unreasonable, but to make it more available, at least CAPS, maybe have a buddy system or something where you could call somebody and they could walk you to CAPS, encourage you to get there. When before I was on medicine and everything, that would have been impossible. I could barely get up. So I wish we would make help more available, I guess, and I guess destigmatizing it would encourage more people to reach out for help.
Emory does a really great job at offering services to students who need help. When I got onto campus here at Emory, I reached out to our Counseling and Psychological Services Center. I needed to do a lot of self-reflection and sort of figure out where I was versus where I needed to be. And that was really beneficial, and it's something I'm really glad Emory has available to students.
I just don't think people realize that it's not something that we get to turn on and off, and it's not something that, this Tuesday I was depressed. No, I was depressed every day. I wasn't sad every day, but I was depressed every day, and I'm ADHD every day of my life, and I have anxiety every day. It doesn't go away. And when you say those things about how you felt in this one moment in time, that just minimizes the struggle of people who have it. And no one gets it, because if they understood what it felt like, then they wouldn't try and brush away what you struggle with. They would embrace it and try to help you, but instead people just think it's something that you can turn off.
I feel if people really understood and they really made the effort to realize that so many people are struggling with a certain issue, they would want to reach out and help. And it's confusing to me why it's not that way.
I feel if people understood it, they would be more likely to reach out for help, and less likely, if they don't struggle with it, to not make others feel bad or feel misunderstood.
It's 100% because of the stigma against mental illness that people don't seek help. Because seeking help means admitting that you have a mental illness, and I feel a lot of people, because of the stigma, aren't willing to do that, even if it means that they're the ones that suffer.
It's not something you can stop, really, without proper help. People might not seek help because they don't think there's a problem. They're just I just need to do this and I'll be happy.
You have to put yourself first, because when you don't receive treatment because of what someone else says, they're not happier because you're not taking medication or because you're not going to therapy. You're the only one who gains anything by getting treatment, and you're the only one who is hurt when you're not. So you have to be selfish and say, I have to put myself before stigma. I have to put myself first.
Ultimately, reaching out and getting help for your mental health is about doing what's best for you and about living the life that makes you happiest.
We need to destigmatize mental illness because we need to talk about it.
We need to get rid of stigma because stigma is the one thing that is keeping us from making progress.
We need to end stigma so that those who are struggling and those who are too scared to get help can live the life that they deserve.